Hey, everybody, welcome to the second video in this awesome series on communication. Day two, we're going to learn about different types of communication. And if you're watching this second video after the first one, it just means that you really want to grow. So if you haven't watched the first one, day one, video number one was all about the why, the what and the why. What is communication and why should we learn about it? So as we continue on this video series on communication, video number two, once again, is about different types of communication. If you're doing the note taker, thank you so much. Make sure you complete your note taker and submit it for a free certificate of completion. All right. Once again, same slide I showed in my first video. I'm going to show it to you again. When Forbes magazine polled employers believe that communication is the number one skill that they want in their employees. So it is the most in-demand skill of 2024. So that's why we are learning more and more about communication. All right. So in this video, we're going to learn about different types of communication. I'm going to give you some examples of communication skills. Hopefully, you're going to understand how to improve your communication. And then once again, at the end of each video, I just want to ask you some questions on reflection. So hopefully you can reflect on those and grow in your understanding of communication. All right. When we look at the 5 forms of communication at a workplace, let's go through all of them. Number 1 is verbal communication. Okay. So for this one, and if you're taking notes, you can get down a few of these notes here. Verbal communication occurs when we engage in speaking with others, according to Drexel EDU. It can be face-to-face, over the phone, via Zoom. Some verbal engagements are informal and some of them are formal. So it depends who you're talking to and what you're talking about. But verbal communication is obviously one of the communication forms. The second one is, and you may not know, but you're actually communicating with people non-verbally. Even though you're not speaking, you're actually communicating a lot with people. So non-verbal, it's what we do while we speak or what we do while we're not speaking, says really a lot more than the actual words. Drexel University EDU says that non-verbal communication includes what? Facial expressions, posture, eye contact, hand movements, and even touch. So for example, if you're engaged in a conversation with your boss about a cost-saving idea, it's important for you to pay attention to both their words, but also their non-verbal communication. So it's not about really what you say, it's about how you say it. But even if someone doesn't answer a question, you can even kind of look at their non-verbals and figure out what they're thinking. Sometimes we're wrong, but a lot of times we're right when it comes to non-verbal communication. Number 3 is written. And this is one that needs to be worked on for all of us. So whether it's an email, a memo, a report, social media post, tweet, a contract, etc., written communication has the same goal, and that's to disseminate information in a clear and concise manner. This takes practice. That's why school's so great, because in every school, you're learning written skills and written communication. But be careful. The article talks about one important thing about written communication is that even an email or a blog post or anything you put on the internet, the message can live on. Even though you delete it, it could live on. So please be careful, especially when you're young and you're making these decisions on talking to someone via social media, on posting something. All of that can actually last for longer than you want it to. Number 4, visual communication. When we take a look at visual communication, we are, as you know, a visual society. That's why I love this video with these slides, because not only am I talking, but you're actually looking at these pictures and visuals and definitions. So think about it. Televisions are running 24/7. Social medias, a visual of memes, videos, images, etc. Instagram is really image only driven. And these imageries help us sell products and ideas. So another way to communicate, visual communication. The last one, you may not think about this as communication, because a lot of times you think about communication as you speaking, but it's also about you listening. So listening is also that last form of communication. The act of listening does not often make its way to a list of types of communication, but active listening. And that's the next video. If you want to learn about active listening, please consider watching the next video, because you're going to learn a lot about how we can effectively, actively listen to others. Okay, so we talked about negotiation, sitting across from someone and engaging with them. Okay, next I want to give you some examples of communication skills. When you take a look at these skills that really help someone communicate, that could be everything from active listening. Your friendliness is absolutely a skill that is involved in communication. Your confidence, your nonverbal cues that we just talked about, your facial expressions, etc., how you your body language, sharing feedback, speaking volume and tone, empathy, respect, and even responsiveness. You know, I've actually publicly said this to my students, and my family knows this as well. I try really hard to respond to every text and every email because I really believe that that is a key part of communication. Um, I know that's not the norm for everyone, but once again, I can't control that. But for my personal life, I try really hard. And sometimes it's not immediate, but eventually I will always try to get back to every person who has asked me a question and or communicated with me. So responsiveness is absolutely a skill that comes with communication that you may not think about. So as you're reflecting now, look at this list. Which two would you say you're the best at, your top two? And which two would you say you need some more improvement on, you need some more practice on? Okay, so your bottom two. So think about that. Okay, so hopefully through this course, you can learn more about these topics, but I just wanted to stop there, pause for a moment, and have you reflect. And next, I want us to understand how we can improve in our communication. Just like the first video, let me give you some steps on how you can reflect and improve on your communication skills. So number one, it's really about observing good communicators around you. Even if they're not around you, even if they're online on YouTube, you can really look at how someone tries their best to communicate something to you. I want you to ask a close friend or a colleague for constructive feedback. I know we don't prefer or prioritize feedback, but it's really the quickest way to improve. Like if you were to go up to someone and say, "Hey, I really want to get better at my communication. Can you give me some tips on how you think I can improve?" And regardless of what they say, you ask, make sure you say thank you. Because even if you don't agree with what they're saying, even if you believe they don't fully understand you and kind of where you're coming from, it's not about that. You ask for feedback, receive it, and be grateful that someone in 2024, and that's the year that this video is made, is going to be honest with you. Okay. Because that's really, really awesome. Number three, practice improving your communication habits. Really be mindful every word that comes out of your mouth. Think about, what are you saying? There's a great quote: if you don't have anything good to say, then don't say it. And that's a great way to live, because once we say something, we may forget it, but the person we said it to may never forget that. Okay. Or take a communication skills class. And that's what we're doing right now. And once again, I applaud you for your willingness to learn about communication, a very important topic in life. And then finally, number five, seek opportunities to communicate with multiple people. I say this to my students. A huge part of school that you may not think about is you working and dealing with all types of people. People like you, people not like you. People who agree with you, people who don't agree with you. People who, you want to work with, and people who you don't want to work with. But that's the beauty of school, because that's life. As you go through life, not every person is going to agree with you. Not every person is going to want to communicate with you, but it's not about that. It's about trying your best to get along and to communicate and to connect with the people around you. And then finally, I want to leave you off with some questions to consider. These are good ones here, so really think about this. Number one, do you like to talk? Do you like to write? Or do you like to listen more? If you were to pick one of those three, reflect on this. And there's no right or wrong answer. Everyone's different. Talk, write, or listen. Number two, which of the three above do you think you need the most practice on? Which one do you think you need more practice for? Talking, writing, or listening? So reflect on that. Number three, referring to question number two, who? Okay, so whichever is the one that you need to practice on the most, talking, writing, or listening. Who would you say in your life does the best at that? Who would you say in your life is a role model for that? Talking, writing, or listening. So hopefully this video has been helpful. As we continue on this series, I hope you continue on our next with us on our next video titled Active Listening. And you're going to learn a lot about that skill. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.